What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? Hey, it's your boy Billy Ratliff at the Volunteer Rose Show, man. Hey, we got a big time guest that I'm always shout out to. I'm just not getting used to these guys, but I feel like I've known them for a long time. And got my boy here today, Daniel Moore, the Couch Coach. What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Doing well, sir. You're catching me during happy hour. None of you Vols fans get to ruin that for me, so I'm downing a creature comforts as we speak.
Hey, that's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Hey, as long as you're having a good time, having a drink, man, and keep a smile up, and hey, we're gonna have some fun today, man. Hey, so what's up, man? Tell me about them Georgia Bulldogs this year, man.
These guys, they're talented. They like to have a good time. What can I say? Hopefully we can keep them out of downtown Athens for the vast majority of the year. Athens is a drinking town with a football problem, so here we go. And we'll see what kind of cards we're dealt very shortly.
Well, all right. I'm gonna get right into it, man. I always try not to live in the past and try to think of the future. But I'm gonna go back to a little bit from last year, man. The big play, I still talk about it with everybody, and the 4th and 11, the play call, Kirby Smart. What do you think about the play?
I don't understand. I think the whole thing with that game, for one, is that we were, an underdog by 13 points. So there's two ways of looking at that. You can say we covered the spread and we can feel good about that, or you could say that we choked the game away. So at that point, we lost the momentum anyway. The 4th and 11 call was stupid, but, I think the bigger issue was that, and a consistent issue in that game is that I think we treat Alabama completely differently than we do everyone else. And I think it's just a mental block more than anything else. We don't take our foot off the gas against an Auburn, an SEC championship game. We didn't do that against Oklahoma. We didn't do that against Florida last year in the fourth quarter. So I don't know why we feel that would work against an Alabama that's kind of going into autopilot. So, we know what beats those guys, which is spread them out, pinpoint accuracy, get your speed personnel in space. And for some reason, Kirby has in his brain that, A, he can still go back to 1975 football and run in the box with those guys. Doesn't work. And then he also thinks that he's Les Miles for some reason. Well, he's Les Miles about the rabbit's foot. So he's banned from doing trick plays from here on out.
Well, I can relate to you on that, man. I remember back in the day when we used to play the Gators, and Coach Spurrier always had you couldn't spell citrus without UT and all those things, and we just couldn't give it that hump with those guys, and kind of remind me of the Georgia Alabama situation right now, and also, you guys had two great quarterbacks last year. You lose a great guy in Fields, and what do you think? What you think you guys should have did a little bit more to try to keep him? Because I know you guys got a couple backups right now that are not too, ready to play right now.
Well, I think Kirby, there's a lot that's being made about our recruiting process, and I think as Kirby matures as a coach, he's going to understand that it's less about getting a bunch of 4- or 5-star guys and more about getting great players who want to play at Georgia. And I think that the coaching staff and Fields, I think both sides there, did some things that were wrong. But the bottom line is, Georgia's not the kind of place that we're just going to hand a starting job to you, And I think that a guy like Fields could have went to 30 other schools and he could have started at about 20 of those schools. So, I think what needs to come back in the analysis for a lot of these recruits is you can't get jived by what these coaches are telling you. You got to go where you feel like you're going to get the best exposure and play from there. And so if you assume that Jake Fromm is nothing more than a Grayson Lambert, well, that's your fault for making that faulty analysis. So, the fact that he even played at all, is something that he should, consider and be grateful for because, Tim Tebow didn't, start a whole bunch his first year. Cam Newton sat on the bench. So it's just the reality of the situation sometimes. But look, at the end of the day, all we can focus on are the guys who want to be at Georgia. I can't focus on the people who left early for the NFL. I can't focus on the guys who want to go to Ohio State. We have 85 good ball players, and that's who we need to focus on for this year.
And, of course, a lot of people said, you guys was a very young team last year. You had a lot of freshmen that played last year. The defense was really young. You had some inexperienced cornerbacks that was out there. The defensive line was kind of young, inconsistent. So how you think you guys improved on both sides of the ball as offense and defense?
Well, Billy, one of the things I like about talking with you is, I mean, obviously I play, but never at the level that you play. But we could always talk about X's and O's. And, Georgia runs a base 3-4 defense with kind of a shade with different kind of, personnel that we run. Sometimes we can do a 4-3 front. Sometimes we do a 5-2 front. So the heart and soul of that defense is the linebacking core. And so we've made some upgrades there. We got some really good talent there. And that was an area that was hit really hard by graduation and, guys leaving for the NFL last year. I mean, when you got a guy like Roquan Smith who had 132 tackles in 2017, plus about 7-8 sacks, it's going to impact what you do. We had Lorenzo Carter and we had Davin Bellamy who were adding to that equation too. So that's about 20 sacks between them. And that was an area that was a weakness for us last year. I think we had like 22 total sacks. And so we want to be in around that 30 range this year. And I think with the players that we're getting there, we're going to be that way. I think Nolan Smith is a freak of nature player. I think the Kobe Dean, we're going to see him in there sooner instead of later. Still a little young there, but I think, the core of that defense is in the linebacking core. The sacks are going to come from the linebackers. So I understand the focus on the defensive line, and I do think that, we have depth there, but do we have playmakers there? And that's just a matter of guys stepping up and playing. But I think that the strength of that defense, especially for this year and going forward, is the linebacking core. Are we as good as what we were when Roquan and that group was there? No, but I think we're definitely going to be vastly improved over what we had last year. I don't think we can be any worse, quite honestly.
Well, I feel the same. I think you guys will be a lot better this year. Kirby, his defense has always been one of those defenses that caters to the offense, essentially, where if, these guys are running a spread option or something, it's hard to rotate guys in and out. And, of course, fatigue sets in and you can't even get your backup ends the way you want to. But, you got to get to a point where these guys are very conditioned, and that's tough in the SEC when you're getting, especially like a team like Alabama that's downhill, running, then all of a sudden they turn into a spread option type of team. That's tough when it comes to a multiple offense with a defense like that. But, you guys' defense held Alabama to a lot of less big plays than they normally used to because, you guys made him he threw 2 picks that last game where typically he don't even throw a pick. And that's something that I always said that if you make him do something he didn't want to do with Tua, he will make mistakes. And you guys did a great job of that. What do you think as far as, you guys always have great running backs. I know a couple of those guys left early last year, which I'm not sure why they did that because, running backs are not the draft product anymore. You can go ask Alvin Kamara, if everybody go back and reevaluate him, they probably dropped him first round, but they don't care about running backs anymore. How do you guys have your running backs again? You have a stable running backs again.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, DeAndre Swift is the best running back we have. I mean, I think you can say he's the best player on our offense this year. The biggest concern with him is staying healthy, and that's the same thing with Zamir White, Zeus. I mean, I hear a lot of great things about the kid. He looks good in the uniform, but if he can't get on the field, it's problematic for us. He would give us that power aspect that we need. I like Harrion. I like Cook. Here's some good things about McIntosh. But out of that whole rotation, Swift is definitely our best back there. And with the way our offensive line is coming together, this is what I love about our team the most is our offensive line, and that's been a 3-year building project. If you have a great offensive line, you can do a lot of good things. Conversely, you have a lot of great skill players, and you don't have a great offensive line, it's like the cake falls in on itself. So I think the strength of this offense is the offensive line, and if you get DeAndre Swift at that second level, he is a scary human being in those kind of situations. So I would like to see the offense kind of shift more to a 50-50 balance, whereas last couple of years it's been 80-20, 70-30. But, at the end of the day, it's about getting the ball to your playmakers, man. You could talk about wanting to be a wide-open offense. You can talk about all these things. But at the end of the day, if you don't let your best guys touch the ball, you're not going to win games. So that's kind of where Georgia's at.
Well, Couch Coach, hey, tell me this, man. You think Kirby Smart is the man for Georgia to lead you guys to the promised land?
Well, here's the thing. The way he's building the program, it's set for the long term. You don't get the sense that it's the kind of thing that it's going to be kind of a fluky kind of thing like what Auburn had or, like that kind of deal. You get the sense that the structures he's putting in place and the personnel that he has in place at Georgia is built long term. Is it this year? Look, I think it's too early to make that kind of prediction for this year. I think we need to put a good football product together first in the summer and see what we're kind of operating with. But I will say this, within the next 5 years, I think Kirby can win a national championship. If I have $100, I'm going to put 80 of it on that. That being said, the Buffalo Bills probably thought they were going to win a Super Bowl, right? The Vikings probably thought they were going to eventually win a Super Bowl. So you have to go out there and do it. And I think just from a team mentality standpoint, we need to have a little bit less of that 5-star cool for school stuff that we had last year, and a little bit more of that workman mentality that we had 2 years ago, where guys just came in there and put in the work, and I think it's come down to leadership, and it's going to come down to, what kind of role every person plays. If we got a bunch of guys who are looking at the NFL with a mercenary attitude, want to jump in a transfer portal every time something gets hard, we're not going to have the kind of program, the kind of season we want to have. So it really just comes down to those guys in the locker room. 2 years ago, great leadership. Last year, we were a young team, not enough leadership from the seniors. So it's really on them. And from Kirby's standpoint, he's got to get out of his own way. I think that he needs to do less in regards to the hands-on stuff and delegate a little bit more to his coordinators and be the big picture guy, be the guy who does the recruiting, be the CEO. And I think that he's evolving into that, but a lot of that comes down to the coordinators you have too. So I like where the program's at, but at the end of the day, we got to beat that team in Tuscaloosa. We don't do that, we're not going to have the kind of season we want to have.
Well, I agree with you about that Tuscaloosa situation, and also, you got to have leadership on that field to be able to produce an SEC. And listen to you, I believe with everything you're saying. I know about Georgia, but I don't know enough to just be like, okay, these guys are ready to go. But listening to you now, I get what they're trying to do down there. But who besides Bama you guys think you have a problem with this year? I mean, I'm hearing my boys might give you problems, but I don't think they will. But who else that you think you guys got to worry about this year?
Well, if I'm going based on the trends of the last 2 years, I have to say the SEC West opponent on the road. Kirby gets blown out against SEC West opponents on the road. LSU last year, Auburn 2 years ago, Ole Miss 3 years ago. So until that trend changes, I'm going to assume that we have a blowout loss to Auburn. Now, who knows what Auburn's going to do? And if you know what Auburn's going to do, I suggest you try to make $1 million or something in Vegas, because who knows what the offense and that whole identity is going to be. But do I think Auburn has enough talent there to pull it all together for a couple games and give Georgia a tough out? Yes, I do. And in the middle of that schedule, we have 3 teams that have bye weeks in back-to-back weeks: Florida, Missouri, and Auburn. So someone's going to get us in that rotation. There's a lot of Georgia fans that think that it's going to be Texas A&M. That could be the case. But if I'm leaning towards a loss, I'm going to say Auburn on the schedule just based on the previous 2 years.
Okay, well, yeah. Auburn, I think they'll be a dangerous team. I'm not sure if you guys got A&M or Mississippi State this year, but I know those 2 teams are going to be really tough. They're loaded in talent on both sides. The West is just loaded this year. You guys on that, y'all got a whole tough situation when it comes to the conference schedule, especially with all those bye weeks on both teams. Or you guys have a bye week and they have a bye week before you guys are playing each other. That's something I never liked, was bye weeks, because of course you got to, especially if you got a team, you got to practice for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is too long to practice for anybody. Your momentum is gone. Everything is gone. And the guys are ready to play. You got chances of some of these guys getting in trouble. There's so many different scenarios that go with a 2-week situation. So, yes, I completely agree with you on that. But, hey, you still didn't say anything about them Volunteers, man. Everybody's been telling me this, and I still don't believe it. But, hey, if you giving me hope, I start believing.
Well, here's the thing, because that ESPN article that came out was about – and see, this is the worst thing that happened to you guys, because you really need to just be under the table, because now that this guy put this out there to the public, it's going to be like, well, we know it's going to be a trap game now. See, he's right in that if we blow out Notre Dame 2 weeks earlier and then we go into that bye week before you guys, feeling good about ourselves, getting a lot of pats on our back, then, yeah, that is a trap situation for Georgia. But a couple things on that. One, I don't think we're going to blow Notre Dame out. I think we'll beat them by about 10. And 2, I just don't see Kirby overlooking an SEC East opponent. If he's going to overlook someone, it's going to be something like a West team or something like that. For Florida and Tennessee, there's no overlook. So, you have to assume that he's going to bring his A game. And the question for Tennessee is, can they match up with Georgia's A game? Right now, I think they can hang with Georgia for a couple quarters, but I think the depth proves itself. So I don't think we go in there and beat you guys 41-0, but I think you're looking at a score of about 38-20, something like that, just because if both teams bring their A games, that's what I'm looking at. Now, Georgia goes in there and brings their C game. Tennessee has enough to bite you there, but this year I think Tennessee is still kind of building that roster up to a point where, it can have the depth to kind of withstand some of the injuries and that you get in SEC East play. But I'm still going with Georgia there just because, not even because I'm a homer. I mean, 3 years ago, I predicted that Tennessee with Dawgs and all those guys would beat Georgia. I just think you guys are a year or two away with that kind of building project.
Well, I can agree with you on that. I mean, I'm so ready to have my segment on my Vols too because there's so much I want to talk about, and you kind of hit all a couple of key points that I've been telling everybody as well. We have 2 recruiting classes behind in a sense before I think we can actually compete. Now, I really still think we got a secret weapon that we stole from Georgia, and I think that's why everybody thinks it's going to be a great game. We got your offensive coordinator that hopefully he can keep some of those guys off my quarterback this year.
Well, here's the thing, and here's, because Jim Chaney's kind of inconsistent. Here's how Tennessee – I'll even tell you how to beat us, okay? If you can establish the run up front with Chandler and get that good mix of balance and throw the football and kind of let Garetano get into a rhythm, running it first, you got a chance at Georgia. But, see, I think Chaney's going to be stupid, and he's going to try to spread us out and try to chunk it downfield, and I think that's where we're going to pick Garetano off and get ahead of you guys. So if he wants to win, he needs to establish the run off the bat and stay with that for a couple of quarters because your offense, your defense, especially on the back end, it's not the kind of defense that's going to give up a lot of big plays. So that doesn't really lend itself to a lot of blowout losses, because you're going to make offenses go 7, 8, 10 plays to drive on you guys. So I don't foresee a lot of blowout losses for Tennessee this year because of that. But if you guys get behind the sticks, it's going to be hard to throw your way back into it because of that offensive line situation. So I think Tennessee needs to be able to run the ball, establish, some kind of continuity there, and it's easier for the offensive line to block. But, if Chaney's going to be bipolar with the play calling on that, then I don't know, because sometimes he has a tendency to do that. Sometimes this stuff works. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it's off and it's wonky. So I think that's what you got with him.
Well, there you go, everybody. Hey, you got the couch coach giving the expertise on my Vols, and most definitely gave a great segment on the Georgia preview, man. Couch coach, man, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure with you, man, and hopefully we get to talk some more this season coming up because, hey, it's about to happen, man. My Vols going to have a chance with you guys. So thank you for coming on the show, my man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. Hey, it's that time for me to get up out of here. Hey, you guys know what to do. Please go here, subscribe here on YouTube, Facebook, like us, comment. Hey, let me know what you think about this, man. We want to have some fun with it. We want to answer all the comments. We want to just talk about everything. So, hey, peace out, guys. Love you all. Go Vols.